Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. So, this is going to be part 2 of secret societies. The first video, I more or less was just kind of setting the groundwork for how they recruit people into their ranks, because a lot of people, like, when you talk about secret societies and how a lot of them or most of them all work together towards, the same aims, which, at this point we know is like one world government, essentially one world tyranny, where they're like the mafiosos basically running everything, total domination and surveillance, and they work with governments and with NGOs and, the UN and other entities to work towards that goal. And people always laugh. They're just like, yeah, sure, all these people working together. They're all in different groups, but no, they actually do. And like I said, it's because they all start recruiting from the ground level, typically from college. However, some of these kids are brought up being recruited or being, what's the word I'm trying to use? Not recruited, but like their parents are already in intelligence, agencies, or they're already, part of these secret society, groomed. There we go, groomed. So it's like they're already being groomed, to be in these groups at a young age. And a lot of times that's the really occultic groups that do that. And we're not going to go into the abuses and stuff that those kids go through. A lot of them end up in Hollywood in the music industry because what better way to control the minds of the people but through music and entertainment, right? So a lot of your agents of these groups are these famous musicians and actors and actresses. So and those of us that go down the rabbit holes, we already know this, right? And we see what happens when they break their programming, because a lot of times these kids are put through MK Ultra programming and abuse situations. Without going into the details, that's probably going to get this video flagged or whatever, right? So if you get my meaning. But sometimes they break that programming and they go off the deep end, as we've seen with people like Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan and such, right? Kanye West, you see what happens when these people like try to break free of that. It's like they lose their mind. They're like psychotic. So that was kind of what the first video was about, laying that groundwork, the fact that the secret, the fraternities and sororities and these secret groups are, have already infiltrated the school systems, and especially the Ivy League schools. That's where they're really looking for the cream of the crop, to be politicians, lawyers, CEOs of corporations and such. Now, we're going to flip the script big time. We're going to totally go down a different avenue, but it'll tie all this together. So now a lot of you would say, well, what's the point of all these secret societies? Like, what is this? Why are people drawn to join these groups? Well, obviously that's for many reasons. I think most people join these groups for power and influence and access to networks and money, right? Like even your Masons and stuff, they help each other out. One of their brothers is going through hard times. They do charities for him. They connect them to people, if they run a business, they get them bring them new clients, and they all work together to take care of each other financially and stuff. And so that obviously those are all like big draws for most people, right? I mean, most people can be corrupted for money, power, influence, networks, right? Connections. But there are people that join these groups, especially the occultic secret societies, to gain access to hidden knowledge, to the mystery school teachings that have been passed down for thousands of years, kept separate from most of humanity. And now we're getting into my wheelhouse, the stuff that I've been researching for a long time. And, you don't have to be in one of these groups to learn this stuff. In fact, I feel pretty confident that I could probably go toe to toe with any higher level Mason as far as occultic symbolism and everything goes, because you can find the people that are teaching this stuff without the need of being part of some group, just like hand feeding you a little bit at a time. Because that's the thing with your Masons and all that. At each degree, they learn they learn extra levels of like teaching and stuff, but they're getting spoon fed. They're not actually getting access to the full amount of knowledge and teaching. And of course, that's why my whole life I've been researching outside of the box and researching these things on my own, because I want to know what all this stuff is that these mystery school teachings have been hiding from the rest of humanity, and why does it matter so much? And so I've been reading, things like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Kabbalion, the Hermetic teachings, these the cuneiform tablets, the Vedic texts, the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, a lot of these ancient, the Gnostic writings, a lot of these ancient readings, that you're told, typically religious, biblical, like people are told, don't touch these things. They're satanic. They'll lead you astray. They're demonic. They try to trick you, and they're trying to move you away from doing your own research into these writings and stuff. Which is funny, because when you look at a lot of these religions, they're using the same symbolism and they're encoding the same mystery school teachings in their religious orders. I mean, you see this very heavily in the Catholic Church, for instance. The Catholic Church, they got the bishops wear the mitre hat, the fish hat, the hat of Dagon. Who is Dagon? Well, Dagon was a Phoenician, Canaanite god of the sea. And actually, if you take him all the way back to his beginning, he's the Sumerian god Enki, the lord of the Abzu, the lord of the waters of the deep. And you could call him Poseidon in the Greek pantheon. And, like, I kid you not. I mean, here these guys are wearing the fish suits of Dagon. And then you see this, you see a lot of this too with, like, the Mormons. The Mormons are a very Masonic order, okay? When you look at their temples and everything, the way all their ceremonies, their rituals, it's all Masonic, folks. I mean, it's almost like the Masons founded the Mormons as their front group church, okay, or religious organization. And look, we could go on and on. Look, they're all involved in it, folks, okay? They all have hidden occultic rituals and practices embedded in their religious orders. I mean, hell, your holidays, all your holidays that Christianity worships, right, or celebrates, Christmas and Easter, they're all pagan festivals that go back to ancient times. To sun worship, to moon worship, to astrotheological worship of the stars and planets. Okay? I mean, Christmas, folks, it's Saturnalia. And look, I've told you guys many times the Abrahamic faiths are all tied in with the black cube of Saturn, with the cult of the black cube of Saturn. Okay? Isn't it funny that they pick the day to celebrate Yeshua's birthday, the 25th of December, just happens to be the winter solstice, and it just happens to line up with the birth of Tammuz, right? The baby Tammuz, the trinity of, Nimrod and Semiramis, or, and the baby Tammuz. Then you got Saturnalia, and you got Mithra, all lining up with that same time period. And then they're doing, you're using the Christmas trees, the Yuletide greetings, folks. Yeah, Yule, that's German pagan festivals, Druidic pagan festivals, and Wiccan pagan festivals of, the hanging the mistletoe in the house and putting gifts under the Christmas tree. And hell, even Santa Claus himself, the Krampus stories, it's a what do you call that, an anagram when you move the words around? Santa Claus is Satan. I mean, it's crazy, folks. I just and then don't even get me started on Easter. I mean, my God, you actually got Christians believing Easter's about Jesus. Once again, the resurrection. No, it's the resurrection of the sun. It's the spring equinox. In fact, it's called Easter because Ishtar, Easter. It's named after Ishtar. And who's Ishtar? She was the Sumerian goddess Inanna. Later on, the Babylonians called her Ishtar. She was the queen of heaven. She was the goddess of war, love, and fertility. Women would die. They would dip their eggs in their menstrual blood and leave it at her altars during the spring equinox for good fertility. And we all know what the pagan, the Germanic and, the Druidic peoples of Europe did. They had, during the fertility rites, right? They, let's just say a lot of people just going at it, right? I mean, it's folks, my God, wake up. It's time, folks, to wake up and start figuring things out. So now we're going to go way back, okay? So what are these mystery school teachings, okay? Well, they go all the way back to the Garden of Eden, to that time when Enlil and Enki, when their feud whipped up into high gear in the Garden of Eden, when at Enlil's command, Enki and his half-sister Ninhursag, also known as Hathor in the Egyptian, the birthing goddess, he commanded them to hybridize a human worker slave race out of the hominids that were running wild on the savannas in Africa and stuff, that these black-headed people they talked about in the cuneiform that were like animals, living like with the animals in the wild in caves and stuff. The Neanderthal man's, Cro-Magnon, all that kind of stuff, right? Well, they took their DNA and they hybridized it with their own. They upgraded that DNA and they made them smaller than them. They limited their spiritual connections, right? The body is a limiter on your spiritual abilities, folks. It's a limiter on your consciousness capacity, at least while you're on earth, in the body. And the problem for Enlil was that Enki made Adam and Eve, the first prototypes, self-aware that they're gods walking in the bodies of these human avatars, that they were the same as the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were just source energy, source consciousness in different avatar bodies, but they were pretending to be gods, that they were the creators. Like when I say they created man and woman, folks, just understand, I'm not saying from scratch. They hybridized a species that was already on the earth, already native to the earth, okay? But Enki, the serpent, the Nakash, right, in the Garden of Eden, the shining one, he told them the truth. And once he told them the truth, they become ungovernable to Enlil. Enlil just wanted simple workers, slaves. And we're talking about Yahweh here, folks, okay? Enlil is Yahweh in the Bible, okay? Strolling through the garden, right? Mad because they talked to the serpent, the snake. Well, it wasn't Enki's family. Their coat of arms, whatever you want to call it, their standard is the feathered serpent, folks. Okay? It's all there. In fact, I just did a post yesterday on Facebook breaking down the it's the libation vase of Ningazida. Who's Ningazida? Well, Ningazida is Enki's, one of Enki's sons. The other one of his other main sons you've heard of is Marduk. But his son, Ningazida, is a very famous character. But you never hear anybody talk about him in the Sumerian. Well, in this vase, you see two feathered serpents with crowns on their heads, holding an iron rod with two snakes wrapped around this rod in the caduceus form, folks. Okay, what is it? Well, it's symbolizing the fact that this is Ningazida, and he actually had a hand in helping his father and his mother, Ninmah, or his aunt, Ninmah, in the hybridization of humankind. He was there. He was involved in it. It's representing the double helix of the human DNA. And the rod represents the spine of the human. And where where you have it wrapping around in between the gaps, if you look at it's hard to explain just, without it in front of you, but think of the caduceus where it's wrapping around the snakes, right? Well, the in-between places are the chakras. Okay, they were encoding all of this ancient wisdom into this simple vase. Okay, this had to be a vase of I remember it was given by one of the Assyrian kings or something. It was, anyways. I don't have that information right in front of me, but it was a gift to, high up people in Mesopotamian rulers at the time. So this was a finely crafted piece of work with hardcore meaning embedded in it. And, well, you'll also find that it resembles, in a way, if you understand the symbolism, the tree of life. That is also shows the double helix of the branches intertwining, where the Anunnaki, what are they called? They're like the sages of the Anunnaki. They're the ones that have the bird heads and stuff. God dang it. Sorry, folks. It's right on top of my head. I know what they're I know what they're called. I just can't think of it right now. Well, they're sticking devices into the tree of life because they're talking about how they're symbolizing how they were tinkering with the human DNA. Okay, the tree of life represents the human structure. Okay. Well, it's similar on this vase. Well, the reason why, and I broke it down, the reason why Ningazida is shown as a feathered serpent, it's simple. It's not that he was a feathered serpent. It's that it's representing the house of Enki. It's Enki's house. Ningazida is his son. So he's representing the feathered serpent house. And it's showing that they hold the DNA because they were the ones that hybridized humans. And then later on, this became, guess what, folks? Here we go. We're talking, listen in. This is the mystery school teaching starting to be handed down from the beginning. By what family? By the serpent family, the feathered serpent family. And what family tries to keep you away from these teachings, folks? Enlil, the eagle family. Yes, you got it right. The religious orders that were created by the Enlilites. They try to keep you away from this teaching, just like Enlil was furious with Enki teaching this to humanity, to Adam and Eve in the garden. To this day, these two families, one of the families is trying to bring you the knowledge, the other one's trying to keep you away from the knowledge. Do you not get this? This staff, okay, that of Ningazida, the rod with the DNA, it's the caduceus, an early version of the caduceus. Later on, it's shown in Egyptian artwork as what? The staff of Thoth. The caduceus, okay? And they added on the wings at the top, which represent the spirit, okay, form. That the crown chakra, which tops the human form, the top of the spine, and they usually have like a ball shape at the top of the rod. Well, that is representing the head, the top of the spine, right? And then that's why the wings are at the top of the ball, because it represents the crown chakra, the spirit. Folks, it's always been here. It's always been embedded, okay? They've always been telling us. That staff was Thoth, right? And later on, what is it also called? The staff of Hermes. Who is Hermes? The god of knowledge, right? Of the Romans, the Greeks. The Hermetic teachings, folks. The mystery school teachings. See, I hope you just understood what I shown you there. I just shown you that Ningazida is Thoth, is Hermes. Okay? Now, he is oftentimes alluded to being Enoch in the book of Enoch also. Though there's a problem with that, and that's that Enoch was a human that becomes a god, right? He's turned into the god Metatron in the book of Enoch. But, and you'll find that in Jewish mystic writings also. But, see, Ningazida was the son of Enki, an Anunnaki son. He was not a human. As far as I know. Who knows, folks? Maybe he was a hybrid. I don't know. But, as far as we know, Ningazida was a full-blooded Anunnaki, okay? And what do we know about him in Egypt? Well, Thoth reigned Egypt for, was it 30,000 years? Think about this, folks. And his staff, the caduceus, is used to this day by what? Our medical field, right? And they're still using Ningazida's staff to this day. And it's still shown with the snakes intertwining around the rod. With the feathers at the top. I mean, it's the same symbol, folks, passed down for thousands of years. That vase, folks, has been dated to 2100 BC. 2100 BC, folks. Think about that. And if you look at, well, if it is true about Thoth, that he ruled for 30,000 years in Egypt, well, then obviously that symbol's way older than 2100 years old too, okay? Interesting stuff, right, folks? If you've never heard this stuff, I would assume it's blowing your mind away. If it's not, well, I'm sorry. God, I don't know what else we're talking about literally connecting the dots of the beginning of where all this started, all the way from the Garden of Eden, through Enki's son, Ningazida, through Egypt, all the way down through the Greeks and Romans to our current day. And obviously right now, I'm already at work. I don't have time to go over the Hermetic teachings. We're going to dig into that now, tomorrow. But I just sent you the groundwork. We talked about how people get initiated into these groups, how they use the colleges, the sororities and frats to recruit people. And now today we were setting the groundwork for the beginning. You got to understand the beginning, right, too. Where does it all come from? Well, right there. You got two families. Two Elohim families battling each other over the minds of humankind. One wants to keep you away from the knowledge, the mystery school teachings. And that is, you're going to be your religious orders that were founded by the Enlilites, the Abrahamic faith. Okay? Enlil, Yahweh. Figure it out, folks. And one of his sons was Nenarsin, who is called Allah. Okay? Who he happens to be at war with, actually, an inter-family war, too. That's where the Islam is connected with the Abrahamic faith. And then you got the other family, the Feathered Serpent family, who was trying to teach humanity the mystery school teachings. Ooh, guys. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, Thoth is also Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, who's that? Well, that's one of the, Latin and South American deities. And guess what he is in their culture? The Feathered Serpent, folks. And guess what he did? He taught the Mayans and all these, these ancient, cultures in those areas in the Americas, how to build civilizations, how to read the stars, mathematics, astronomy, astrology, engineering, I said mathematics, sorry. But you get the point, right, folks? Oh yeah, trust me. We're going to be this secret society. This series is going to go deep in so many places, folks. And I think you're going to start to see the method of my madness to teaching and my theories, and you're going to start to see where all this stuff connects and comes together. I mean, like I said, if you didn't know any of this, just being, even somebody just read the Bible and not really, oh, the snake, was whispering to Eve and seducing Adam and Eve and all that. It wasn't, it's seducing them with knowledge. Well, what was that knowledge that pissed off Enlil so bad about? Well, we're gonna be talking about this knowledge, folks, and it happens to be the same knowledge that these people have been trying to hide from humanity for thousands and thousands of years. And there have been people trying to teach humanity, but humanity refuses to look into this stuff. Instead, they follow Enlil and his their systems to dumb down and control humanity, to keep them from the truth. Oh boy, I can't wait to get into the next talk, folks. This is fantastic. So, anyways, guys, I hope I left you on a cliffhanger there, because we are on a cliffhanger. But let all that sink in. The Caduceus, Ningazida, down to Thoth, even Quetzalcoatl, all the way down to Hermes into our modern day. With the Caduceus symbol, the staff of Hermes, the staff of Ningazida, the staff of Thoth, still represented in our modern society to this day. And what does it represent? It represents the body, health, and knowledge. I'm telling you, folks, you got to learn how to read symbolism. Symbolism is the universal language of the world and ancient civilizations. Okay? If you don't learn that stuff, and you won't if you stick to just biblical means, you will be ignorant for the rest of your life. And you will never understand these secrets being tossed around your head all the time without you absorbing it. So, anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. If you're interested in doing a one-on-one Zoom, hit me up. Preferably Messenger on my Facebook Exit the Matrix page is the best way to get a hold of me directly. But details for that are in the description. So, anyways, guys, and the link to that Facebook page is in the descriptions. So, I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll pick it up tomorrow.